Abroad, there exist matters within our grasp, and those beyond it, viewpoints, inclinations, wishes, and dislikes. In short, everything tied to our actions is within our control. Conversely, the physique, riches, esteem, authorities, everything unrelated to our actions, lies outside our control. This is how the renowned Greek philosopher's life manual commences. To lead a satisfying life with fewer emotional disturbances, you must acknowledge the spheres under your jurisdiction and those that aren't. Our responsibility is to channel our efforts toward the controllable and disregard the uncontrollable. One of the paramount dilemmas a person can confront is the judgments and views of others. It's nearly inescapable to be influenced, either positively or negatively, by them. To truly insulate yourself from their impact, you must comprehend that the judgments of others, criticisms, or any sort of personal affront are beyond your control. Within the Life Guide, we acquire guidance on how to react when faced with an insult. Thus, the objective of this video is to draw insights from the famous Life Manual to cultivate a mental state that allows us to diminish or eradicate all forms of suffering stemming from the judgments of others through 7 teachings or principles derived from Epictetus's Life Manual. You will understand the reason to disregard external sentiments and discover how to reach a state where opinions cannot injure you. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to stay updated with the valuable content we're creating for you. Number 1. Insults or affronts. Epictetus advises, recall that the one who insults or strikes is not personally slighted, but rather it's their own judgment deeming these actions offensive. So, when someone provokes you, bear in mind that it's your own perspective disturbing you in the first place. Endeavor not to be swayed by appearances because, with time and composure, it becomes easier to regulate your emotions. A key to disregarding others' opinions is grasping that insults or offenses are not inherently harmful. The emotional discomfort accompanying an insult actually stems from our interpretation of it. When someone belittles or disrespects you, realize that the insult can only harm you if you permit it. Should you respond negatively, a person's true worth should be gauged by their capacity to withstand negativity. Life often unfolds this way. When you feel insulted or offended, ask yourself, do I wish to prevail or succumb? Do I want to surrender to the uncontrollable? Let's draw a parallel with Stoicism and desires. To cease their influence, we mustn't combat desire, for it will persist. The difference lies in our response to that desire, full surrender or dismissal. If you manage not to be perturbed by an insult, the satisfaction afterward will elevate you, rendering you resilient amidst adversity. You might recall a time when a disparaging comment marred your day or week despite your best efforts. Understand that I empathize with your experience, as everyone has faced such situations. If this applies to you, continue watching, as the upcoming principles address self-control. Number 2, uphold resolute intentions. In this principle, we must acknowledge that to evade the impact of others' opinions, you should abide by the following. If your firm intention is to embrace philosophy, brace yourself from the outset for ridicule and mockery from the public. Expect to hear comments like, "Suddenly, a philosopher emerges," or "Where does this arrogance come from?" Refrain from adopting arrogance and stand firm in endeavors that enhance your well-being. Remember, if you remain steadfast, those who once ridiculed you will eventually admire you. Conversely, if you succumb to others' influence, you'll face ridicule twice. Many individuals compromise their true talents to appease dissenting voices. Epictetus emphasizes that allowing your purpose to be swayed by fear of others' opinions doesn't result from failed attempts, but from yielding to external judgment. It's not a mere setback, but a fundamental issue. When a person relinquishes their goals to avoid social conflicts or preempt criticism, it's worthwhile to persist. Despite momentary mockery or questioning, by forging ahead, you align with your innate disposition. When making life decisions, contemplate this principle. Reflect on your priorities and the authentic motivations behind your choices. Number 3, Don't fret if someone speaks ill of you. Don't allow concerns about living with a tarnished reputation or being unnoticed trouble you, because if not, receiving accolades were a grievance, then others would possess the power to disrupt our well-being. That's not how things work. In reality, you hold significance solely in matters under your control and contingent on your choices. This principle remains profoundly relevant in our contemporary world. How often have you acted contrary to your true self merely to secure someone's approval, particularly in the realm of social media? Seeking social validation on these platforms can poison one's psyche. It's crucial to ask yourself, is it worthwhile to forsake your authentic self for fleeting satisfaction? Is it wise to place your emotional equilibrium in the hands of others? My answer is unequivocal, no. I urge you to contemplate this, for we've all been ensnared in actions that embarrass us but lack malice. Why concern yourself with the laughter or exclusion from popularity? Do you genuinely believe your happiness hinges on your popularity? Adopting such a lifestyle breeds perpetual conflict, as your happiness resides beyond your control. Consequently, you'll endure unceasing tension, altering your essence to retain status. A fundamental tenet of Stoicism is to concern yourself only with the controllable and to cultivate imperturbability toward the uncontrollable. In regard to insults, remember that no one can injure you unless you permit it. When someone harms you or speaks ill of you, recognize that they believe their actions are justified. It's implausible for everyone to act according to your standards, but it's their perspective. So, if someone judges you based on a false facade, they harm themselves with their misjudgment. Thus, endure the person who insults you with patience and remind yourself, that's their viewpoint. Number 4. Exert vigilant self-governance. As Epictetus pointed out, for an insult to escalate into an offense, we must regard our mind's sanctity on par with our body's well-being. I'm certain you wouldn't allow a stranger to enter your home daily, understanding the potential threat that poses. Yet, when we receive an insult and transform it into an offense, we grant that person access to our mind, allowing them to reside there for days. We invite strangers into our minds, whereas we would never welcome them into our homes. To attain a state where we can shrug off negative emotions stemming from an offense, discipline, and self-control must be nurtured. Apply this approach to all life situations, even within the family. When anger wells up, manage that emotion, as it will spare you unnecessary suffering and foster greater inner serenity. Believe me, this will engender a profound transformation in your life. Number 5. Act in accordance with your best judgment. We mustn't feel ashamed of acting in alignment with our principles, even if others misconstrue our intentions. If our actions are virtuous, there's no need to fear misinterpretations. This also holds true in the realm of social media, where we often tether our happiness to popularity and external validation, leading us to compromise our authenticity to please others, diverting us from our true path. Number 6. Disregard unwarranted criticism. If someone inflicts harm or speaks ill of you, remember that they believe they are justified in doing so. It's unrealistic to expect everyone to conform to your perspective of what's right, as their views differ. Thus, when they pass judgment based on a false facade, they inadvertently harm themselves with their misconceptions. Guided by these principles, exercise patience when confronted with judgment, and on each occasion, remind yourself, no one can truly harm you. In this 7th principle, we delve into the motives behind the insult. It underscores the impossibility of expecting everyone to align with your values and beliefs, which can be a perilous mindset. Reflect upon this. Is it truly tenable to assume that everyone shares your worldview? Such thinking is overly simplistic. Therefore, when someone hurls insults, thinking they possess an accurate understanding of you, consider this. You know who you are, what you stand for, your thoughts, actions, and motives. You are the sole authority on the truth about yourself. So, in the face of a stranger's insult, ask yourself, did I act improperly? If the answer is no, ponder, can I fathom the reasons behind their insult? It's apparent that you cannot. Thus, if you acted rightly and confront ignorance regarding the motivation behind the insult, find contentment, for you are the ultimate knower of your own truth. In the case of acting in accordance with your principles, cast aside the weight of remorse. In conclusion, I'd like to leave you with this wisdom from Epictetus. How much longer will you delay in becoming worthy of the loftiest progress and embracing the guidance of reason? You've already been introduced to the philosophical principles you should be well acquainted with. Whose mentor are you still waiting for to commence your betterment? You're no longer an adolescent, but an adult. So, if you persist in negligence, idleness, constant postponements, excuse after excuse, and delaying your dedication to self-improvement, life will pass by while you remain unenlightened until the day of your passing. Remember to subscribe and join us on the path to wisdom. Farewell.